Today I'd like to begin with a poem, one of the most beloved and best known poems by a Vermont author, Mending Wall. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen groundswell under it and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. The gaps I mean, no one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each. And some are loaves, and some are so nearly balls, we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game, one on a side. It comes to little more. There where it is, we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I am all orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I build a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top, in each hand like an old stone savage, armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and of the shade of trees. He will not go beyond his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says it again. Good fences make good neighbors. So I'm reading from a collection by Robert Frost, as you probably guessed, and it's edited by Louis Untermeyer, who was a friend and editor of his, and I love this, even though it's torn and tattered. I love this edition because Untermeyer gives a commentary, and in it he says that there's a tension in this whole poem between the first line and the last line that doesn't really get resolved fully. First line is, something there is that doesn't love a wall. Something there is that doesn't love a wall. And the last line is, good fences make good neighbors, that old saying. This tension is still in our world today, very much, and is something that we really need to work with and resolve. And that brings us to the next part of this talk. So for part 2 here, we're switching to a different book, which is the Bible, and today is Good Shepherd Sunday, and we read the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, but we also read from the Gospel of John, where Jesus says, I am the Good Shepherd. And he talks about what it means to be a good shepherd. He says, I am the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. So a good shepherd is someone, and I should say that these walls were built for sheep. I don't know if you know that. In Frost's poem, he talks about cows, but these were walls originally built for sheep. So it's appropriate to be standing here talking about good shepherds. The good shepherd is someone who thinks about the whole flock, who thinks about others first, and really empties themselves of selfishness, because to lay down your life for the sheep. I mean, it might mean literally that you go and you lay yourself down in front of to stop a wolf from getting the sheep. But it means also you make sacrifices for the sheep. You put your self-interest aside. So Jesus goes on after saying, I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. One flock, one shepherd. So the good shepherd is not just thinking about her or his own flock, but about all the sheep. It's this vision of all being one. And where that is the case, there is no place for walls. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, because a wall is dividing, is separating. To love your neighbor as yourself, if we love our neighbor as ourselves, well, why do we need a wall? And that's what the Good Shepherd does. So as we think about our world today, and we think about our role as people who want to follow our teacher and model, Jesus, we need to think about this. How can we be good shepherds for the whole flock, for the whole earth, for all people? How can we bring down the walls and make us one? So that's something that we really need to ponder. It's something where we need today to find a new way to be as a world, as a people, and we each have our own calling as shepherds. We all have our different ways to contribute, but overall, the job of our whole church, our whole society, of all of us joining together and working together, is to lay down our lives for this flock of humanity, of the earth, of all that we love. And so how do we find our way and discern, figure out, envision what part we can contribute to this? How can I be a good shepherd now in my life, with the people around me, with my family, with my work, with my for you with school? How can you be a good shepherd? How can you be a good shepherd? And when you ask that, you may not have anything come to you immediately. And so there's something that you can do to help you find your way. Let's see, what would that be? Prayer, of course. And prayer helps because we listen, we open ourselves, but what we're listening for and what we're opening to is the Good Shepherd. Good shepherding is the spirit of the world. Yeah, something there is that doesn't love a wall. Something there is that is a good shepherd all around us, in nature, in our own hearts, in our parents, and the best of parenting, the best of loving. It's all about being a good shepherd. So if we open to that spirit of good shepherding, at our best, at humanity at its best, the world at its best, we can find help. We can find the direction in which we need to go to be good shepherds. So let us do that now, with words, but then afterwards sit and just listen. I invite you to pray now. Let us pray.